What if the most unbelievable places on Earth are not accidents of nature, but deliberate human creations that should never have worked? The first surprise comes from eastern China, where the Yongwu Water Highway allows vehicles to pass directly through a river, disappearing beneath seasonal floodwaters while remaining structurally intact, engineered to endure strong currents, debris, and erosion without resisting nature. The next shock spreads across the United States, where the interstate highway system binds a continent together, stretching tens of thousands of miles across mountains, deserts, wetlands, and cities, designed for speed, national defense, and economic flow at a scale never attempted before. The ultimate, breath-stealing moment unfolds on the roof of the world, across the Qinghai-Tibet Plateau, where the Qinghai-Tibet Railway cuts through permafrost and thin air, operating at altitudes where oxygen levels push human survival to the edge, made possible by cooling systems, flexible tracks, and pressurized train cars. What follows is not just a tour of massive structures, but a deep dive into how the impossible becomes real. We uncover designs once dismissed as unreal, solutions that remained unseen for generations, and the science that finally challenged physics itself. Stay with us, because what you are about to see will change how you look at the planet we thought we already understood. Chongqing Monorail. What kind of city designs a train to pass straight through an apartment building without forcing the people inside to leave? In the heart of southwestern China, where mountains rise faster than streets can flatten, Chongqing Monorail emerges as a scientific answer to one of the most extreme urban landscapes on Earth. Built inside a megacity shaped by steep hills and tangled rivers, this system moves not just across the city, but through it, redefining how space itself can be used. The most astonishing moment unfolds on Line 2, where the train enters Lizaba Station by slicing directly through the middle floors of a residential building. What looks unreal is the result of careful physics and engineering. Advanced soundproofing, vibration isolation, and structural reinforcement reduce noise to levels comparable to everyday city life, allowing thousands of residents to live calmly as trains pass just feet away. Elevated on concrete pillars rising tens to hundreds of feet above ground, the monorail weaves across rivers and dense neighborhoods, creating a rare three-dimensional urban landscape. Unlike traditional subways, it can climb slopes of over 6%, take tight curves, and operates smoothly on uneven terrain shaped by geology. Today, Chongqing Monorail carries millions of passengers every day, ranking among the busiest urban monorail systems in the world. It stands as unseen proof that when geography sets impossible limits, engineering finds a way straight through them. One World Trade Center. What does it take to rebuild a symbol after the ground beneath it has already witnessed one of the darkest moments in modern history? Rising from Lower Manhattan, One World Trade Center is not simply the tallest building in the United States. It stands on the very site where the original Twin Towers were destroyed during the September 11th attacks, a location forever marked by loss, shock, and global memory. Completed as the centerpiece of a reimagined skyline, the tower reaches 1,776 feet, a height chosen to echo the year of American independence and transform architecture into a statement of national identity. From its square base, the structure gradually rotates as it rises, evolving into an octagonal form near the top. This geometry is driven by physics as much as aesthetics, reducing wind forces, improving stability, and reshaping how the building interacts with the atmosphere above Manhattan. At its core, a reinforced concrete spine over 3 feet thick protects critical systems and evacuation routes, reflecting a new generation of safety standards shaped directly by the lessons of September 11th. The glass and steel exterior reflects the sky by day and illuminates the harbor by night, while the spire above climbs hundreds of feet, serving as both a broadcast antenna and a visual landmark across New York. Anchored deep into bedrock formed over hundreds of millions of years, One World Trade Center connects human resilience with geological time, standing as a symbol of recovery, endurance, and the decision to rise again where history once fell. Yongwu Water Highway. What happens when a road is designed not to fight water, but to disappear beneath it? In central China, Yongwu Water Highway stands as a rare experiment where transportation, hydrology, and landscape engineering merge into a single system. Built directly inside a reservoir, this road stretches for 3 miles, positioned just below the surrounding water level, and revealed only when seasonal waters retreat. When the lake rises, the highway gradually vanishes, dissolving into the surface of the water and creating an unreal illusion of a road absorbed by nature itself. This disappearance is not a flaw, but a calculated feature of the design. The road surface is reinforced with water-resistant materials engineered to endure long-term submersion without cracking, erosion, or structural fatigue, allowing it to survive cycles of flooding year after year. Instead of relying on massive drainage systems, the highway accepts water as a constant presence, turning seasonal change into a predictable operating condition. Alongside the submerged roadway runs a dedicated pedestrian path built higher than the driving surface. Even when water levels rise, pedestrians continue moving, appearing to walk across the lake while vehicles below remain unseen. This layered infrastructure serves both transportation and water management, helping regulate reservoir levels during wet seasons. Yongwu Water Highway reveals an unseen philosophy of engineering, where the most impossible solution is not resisting nature, but designing infrastructure flexible enough to disappear and return in harmony with it. Palm Jumeirah. How do you build land where the map once showed only open sea? Off the coast of Dubai, Palm Jumeirah rises from the Persian Gulf as one of the most ambitious geographic experiments ever attempted by humans. This artificial island was constructed using more than 100 million cubic yards of sand and rock, each grain placed with satellite-guided precision to sculpt a palm tree so vast it is best understood from space. From ground level, the geometry is almost impossible to read, which is why engineers relied on GPS technology to align every curve of the trunk, fronds, and crescent with mathematical accuracy. The palm-shaped design was not symbolic alone. Its branching fronds created dozens of miles of new coastline, instantly expanding Dubai's shoreline and opening space for resorts, homes, and infrastructure that nature would have taken thousands of years to form. Surrounding the entire island is a crescent-shaped breakwater stretching nearly 7 miles, engineered to absorb wave energy, reduce erosion, and shield the inner waters from powerful Gulf storms. Beneath the surface, complex marine engineering stabilized shifting sands while allowing water circulation to prevent stagnation. Palm Jumeirah stands as unseen proof that geography is no longer just something humans adapt to, but something they now deliberately redesign. Fast telescope. What does it take to listen to the universe without speaking back to it? Hidden inside a natural limestone valley in China's Guizhou province, The FAST telescope transforms geography itself into a scientific instrument. Known as the world's largest single-dish radio telescope, its vast surface spans 1,600 feet in diameter, large enough to fit nearly 30 football fields within a single curve. From above, it appears unreal, like a metallic eye embedded into the earth, shaped by gravity and stone to capture signals too faint for ordinary instruments. Its surface is composed of thousands of adjustable metal panels that subtly shift, forming precise curves to focus radio waves arriving from deep space. This design allows the telescope to track pulsars, map hydrogen clouds that reveal the structure of galaxies, and search for radio signals that may hint at the existence of life beyond Earth. FAST is sensitive enough to detect radio emissions from galaxies tens of thousands of light years away, signals that began their journey long before modern civilization existed. To preserve this silence, China established a protected radio quiet zone around the telescope, relocating tens of thousands of residents to eliminate interference from phones, radios, and electronic noise. In this engineered stillness, FAST listens to the universe, not by looking outward, but by waiting patiently for the faintest whispers of the cosmos. Burj Khalifa. How tall can a building rise before gravity, wind, and heat finally refuse to cooperate? Rising from the desert of Dubai, Burj Khalifa stands as a scientific answer to that question, pushing architecture beyond limits once considered impossible, while redefining how height, stability, and climate interact at extreme scale. The tower reaches 2,717 feet, making it the tallest structure ever built, visible from vast distances across the Arabian Peninsula, and tall enough to enter atmospheric conditions normally experienced by aircraft rather than buildings. Its form is inspired by the Hymenocallis flower, a natural geometry that allowed engineers to balance elegance with structural efficiency while managing wind forces that intensify dramatically with altitude. At the heart of Burj Khalifa lies a Y-shaped core system that distributes weight and lateral forces outward, stabilizing the tower as it rises and preventing dangerous sway. Reaching the highest viewpoints requires multiple elevator transfers because no single elevator cable on Earth is long enough to span the full height in one uninterrupted journey. Burj Khalifa ultimately stands as a symbol of engineering ambition, revealing how science, design, and determination allowed Dubai to build higher than anyone thought possible. Marina Bay Sands rises over Singapore like a carefully balanced thought experiment in steel, glass, and gravity. Designed by architect Moshe Safdie, the complex is instantly recognizable by its 3 soaring towers, crowned by a sky park that appears to float above the city. Stretching more than 800 feet, the rooftop park is longer than the Eiffel Tower laid on its side, transforming the idea of a roof into an elevated landscape suspended in the sky. At its edge sits one of the world's most famous infinity pools, where water seems to merge seamlessly with the skyline and even the curvature of Earth. Beneath the sky park, Marina Bay Sands integrates a luxury hotel, casino, shopping concourse, museum, and entertainment venues into a single megastructure that functions like a vertical city. Safdie drew inspiration from a deck of cards and the sails of ships, symbols of fortune, prosperity, and Singapore's maritime heritage. More than an architectural landmark, Marina Bay Sands reshaped the nation's global image, demonstrating how bold engineering and cultural vision can rise together to define the future of an entire city. Sydney Opera House rises from Sydney Harbour as one of the most recognizable experiments in modern architecture ever attempted. Designed by Danish architect Jorn Utzon, the building is defined by its white, shell-like forms, inspired by sailing vessels, orange peels, and natural geometry rather than straight lines and rigid symmetry. Each shell is part of a larger spherical solution, a breakthrough that allowed engineers to solve shapes once thought mathematically impossible to construct at architectural scale. Construction stretched across more than 14 years as builders struggled to translate visionary drawings into physical reality using the limited computing power of the mid-20th century. Costs escalated far beyond original estimates, sparking intense political and public controversy that reshaped how governments approach large cultural projects. Today, Sydney Opera House is not just a venue for music and theater, but a global symbol of creative risk, scientific problem-solving, and the belief that daring ideas can permanently redefine how a nation is seen by the world. Golden Gate Bridge emerges at the mouth of San Francisco Bay as both a scientific gamble and a cultural landmark carved into geography itself. Spanning roughly 1.7 miles, the bridge crosses a strait where powerful Pacific currents, shifting winds, and frequent earthquakes once made construction seem nearly impossible. When completed in 1937, its main span of almost 4,200 feet briefly became the longest suspension span on Earth, redefining what steel cables and human calculation could endure. Each tower rises about 746 feet above the water, engineered to sway several feet without failing, a silent adaptation to seismic forces beneath California's coastline. The bridge's international orange coating was chosen through testing, improving visibility in heavy fog while slowing corrosion from salt air, a blend of chemistry and design born from necessity. More than a crossing, the Golden Gate Bridge reshaped regional growth, linking San Francisco to Marin County and turning a natural barrier into a symbol of American ambition, where science, landscape, and imagination lock together in steel. The Sphere in Las Vegas asks a radical question before you even step inside. What happens when a building stops being a container for entertainment and becomes the entertainment itself? Rising from the Nevada desert, this structure represents a dramatic shift in how architecture, physics, and digital media merge into a single system. As the largest spherical structure ever constructed, it challenges traditional building logic because a sphere distributes stress differently than towers or arenas, forcing engineers to rethink load paths, acoustics, and visual scale from the ground up. Its exterior is wrapped in tens of millions of LED lights, transforming the entire surface into one seamless digital display, visible from miles away, where moving images ripple across the Las Vegas skyline. Inside, the sphere becomes something even more unprecedented. A fully immersive 360-degree interior LED screen surrounds the audience with ultra-high-resolution imagery, while an advanced spatial audio system uses thousands of precisely placed speakers to deliver sound with surgical accuracy. Instead of filling the room evenly, audio can be directed to specific seats, altering how the human brain perceives direction, motion, and distance. In a city defined by spectacle, it signals a new era, proving that buildings are no longer just spaces we occupy, but instruments we step inside, capable of reshaping human perception itself. The Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge stands as one of the most extreme experiments in marine engineering ever attempted by humans. Stretching across the Pearl River Delta with a total length of 55 kilometers, this vast system connects Hong Kong, Macau, and the city of Zhuhai across open seas shaped by powerful tides, heavy shipping traffic, and violent tropical storms. Rather than a single bridge, the project is a hybrid of elevated viaducts, artificial islands, and an immersed tunnel placed beneath the ocean floor, forcing engineers to solve multiple geographic and scientific challenges at once. The underwater tunnel allows massive cargo vessels to pass safely overhead, while the man-made islands act as transition zones between bridge and tunnel, anchoring the entire system to unstable seabed geology. When the bridge opened, travel time between Hong Kong and Zhuhai dropped from several hours to approximately 30 minutes, dramatically reshaping trade, commuting, and regional integration. More than a transportation corridor, the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge is a statement of ambition, proving that even the most hostile marine environments can be connected through scale, precision, and long-term engineering vision. The Three Gorges Dam rises across the Yangtze River as the largest hydroelectric experiment ever imposed on a natural water system. Located in Hubei Province, China, the dam stretches more than 1.5 miles in length and climbs nearly 600 feet high, forming a concrete barrier so vast it is visible from near-Earth orbit. Behind it, a reservoir extends for over 400 miles, reshaping valleys, cliffs, and ecosystems while slowing the flow of Asia's longest river into a controlled engine of power. At full capacity, the dam generates more than 22 gigawatts of electricity, enough to supply energy to tens of millions of households simultaneously, reducing reliance on coal at a national scale. But electricity is only part of the story. By regulating seasonal floods that once devastated downstream cities, the dam acts as a massive hydraulic buffer, absorbing surges that historically caused widespread destruction. Its system of ship locks and a vertical ship lift also transform navigation, allowing vessels weighing thousands of tons to travel far inland, turning the Yangtze into a major economic corridor. Three Gorges Dam stands as unseen proof of how humanity can redirect rivers, climates, and geography itself, revealing both the unreal scale of modern engineering and the impossible choices that come with reshaping an entire landscape. Empire State Building rises from the heart of Manhattan as a monument to speed, steel, and American ambition during one of the hardest economic periods in history. Completed in just 13 months in 1931, this skyscraper defied expectations by climbing floor after floor at a rate that even modern construction projects struggle to match. Reaching 1,454 feet, including its antenna, it stood as the tallest building on Earth for more than 40 years, reshaping global ideas about vertical cities. Its steel frame was engineered to flex under powerful Atlantic winds, while its limestone facade grounded the structure visually and symbolically in New York's bedrock. From the 86th floor observatory, the curvature of the region becomes visible, with sightlines stretching nearly 80 miles on clear nights. Today, a programmable LED lighting system transforms the tower into a beacon of color, allowing a structure born in the industrial age to speak fluently in the language of the digital era. Hoover Dam is one of the most influential engineering projects ever built in the United States. Rising from the Colorado River at the border of Nevada and Arizona as a symbol of control over nature during a time of national crisis. Completed in 1936, the dam stands 726 feet tall and was once the largest concrete structure on Earth, requiring millions of cubic yards of material poured continuously to prevent structural weakness. The heat generated during construction was so intense that engineers calculated the concrete would take more than 125 years to cool naturally without artificial methods. Behind the dam, Lake Mead extends for over 110 miles, forming the largest man-made reservoir in the country and supplying water to more than 20 million people across the American Southwest. The hydroelectric plant produces over 2,000 megawatts of power, fueling cities like Las Vegas and Phoenix, while helping transform desert landscapes into economic hubs. Built to endure floods, earthquakes, and extreme temperatures, Hoover Dam represents the moment science, ambition, and necessity reshaped the geography of the American West forever. Qingdao Bay Bridge is a sweeping feat of marine engineering stretching across Jiaozhou Bay, reshaping how coastal geography and urban mobility interact in eastern China. Completed in 2011, the bridge runs nearly 26 miles across open water, once holding the title of the longest sea-crossing bridge on Earth and redefining the scale of modern infrastructure. Its structure was engineered to survive category-level typhoon winds, seismic activity, and corrosive saltwater, with thousands of reinforced concrete piers anchored deep into the seabed. At peak points, the bridge carries traffic more than 100 feet above the waves, supporting multiple lanes that move tens of thousands of vehicles every day between Qingdao and Huangdao. By cutting travel time from hours to minutes, the bridge altered economic gravity across the bay, accelerating industrial growth and urban expansion. More than a road, Qingdao Bay Bridge stands as a scientific response to geography itself, demonstrating how large-scale engineering can bend distance, water, and time into a single continuous path. Brooklyn Bridge stands as a turning point where 19th century engineering collided with the explosive growth of New York City, spanning the East River to bind Manhattan and Brooklyn into a single urban organism. Completed in 1883, it emerged as one of the world's first steel suspension bridges, at a time when such materials were still viewed with suspicion and fear. Its main span stretches 1,595 feet, carried by massive Gothic-style towers built from granite and limestone, rising like stone gateways between two boroughs and two eras of engineering. During construction, innovative use of steel cables allowed the bridge to support loads never attempted before, while pneumatic caissons sunk deep into the riverbed pushed human endurance and medical knowledge to dangerous limits. More than a crossing, Brooklyn Bridge became proof that modern cities could conquer rivers, distance, and doubt, transforming infrastructure into a lasting cultural symbol of American ambition. Shanghai Tower rises from the heart of Lujiazui as a vertical experiment in how science reshapes the modern skyline, climbing to 2,073 feet above one of the densest financial districts on Earth. Its twisting form is not aesthetic drama alone, because the spiral reduces wind loads by nearly 24%, allowing engineers to use thousands of tons less steel than a conventional rectangular tower of similar height. At this scale, wind becomes a physical force that can bend buildings, so the tower's double-skin facade and rotating geometry work together like aerodynamic armor, channeling air currents instead of resisting them head-on. Inside, the building functions as a vertical city, stacking offices, hotels, public gardens, and cultural spaces into distinct zones separated by sky lobbies that act as neighborhoods in the clouds. The tower's elevators once held the world speed record, racing upward at almost 46 miles per hour, turning vertical travel into a matter of seconds rather than minutes. Shanghai Tower ultimately demonstrates how future megacities may grow upward instead of outward, using physics, efficiency, and density to redefine what sustainable urban life can look like in the 21st century. Grand Coulee Dam dominates the Columbia River in Washington state as one of the largest concrete structures ever attempted, rising roughly 550 feet high and stretching more than 5,200 feet across the canyon like a man-made cliff. Built during the depths of the Great Depression, the dam was conceived not only as an engineering solution, but as a national strategy to harness water, labor, and electricity on an unprecedented scale. Its turbines form the most powerful hydroelectric plant in North America, generating electricity measured in multiple gigawatts and feeding energy to cities, factories, and aluminum smelters across the Pacific Northwest. Behind the dam, Franklin D. Roosevelt Lake extends for over 150 miles, transforming semi-arid land into fertile farmland through one of the largest irrigation systems on the continent. Grand Coulee Dam ultimately represents a moment when geology, hydrology, and human ambition converged, turning a wild river into a foundation for modern industry, agriculture, and 20th century American power. Kennedy Space Center stands along Florida's Atlantic coast as the launch cradle of America's space age, a place where Earth quietly hands spacecraft to the sky. Spanning more than 219 square miles, the complex is so vast that wetlands, lagoons, and wildlife refuges exist inside its perimeter, creating a rare overlap between cutting-edge aerospace engineering and untouched coastal ecology. From this shoreline, the Apollo missions departed toward the moon, rewriting humanity's relationship with gravity, distance, and time, followed decades later by the space shuttle era that normalized reusable spacecraft and long-duration orbital flight. At the heart of the center rises the Vehicle Assembly Building, towering roughly 525 feet high, once ranked among the largest structures on Earth by volume, capable of stacking rockets taller than the Statue of Liberty inside a single enclosed space. Kennedy Space Center is not merely a launch site, but a geographic gateway where geology, atmosphere, technology, and human ambition intersect, transforming a quiet stretch of coastline into one of the most important portals to space in history. Interstate highway system stretches across the United States like a circulatory network, silently powering the movement of people, goods, and ideas on a continental scale. Spanning more than 48,000 miles, it is one of the largest engineered networks ever built by humans, long enough to circle the Earth nearly 2 times if laid end to end. The system was launched in the 1950s under President Dwight D. Eisenhower, whose experience with Europe's military highways during World War II revealed how roads could determine national speed, security, and survival. Engineered with no stoplights or same-level intersections, these highways allow vehicles to travel hundreds of miles at sustained speed, reshaping how Americans live, work, and migrate across vast distances. More than asphalt and concrete, the interstate highway system rewired the nation's geography, accelerating suburban growth, transforming logistics, and quietly redefining the rhythm of everyday American life. Glen Canyon Dam rises from the Red Rock Desert of northern Arizona as a sweeping concrete arch locked into sandstone walls carved by deep time. Completed in the 1960s, the dam stands nearly 710 feet high, tall enough to rival a skyscraper, while quietly holding back the immense force of the Colorado River. Behind it stretches Lake Powell, a reservoir reaching almost 186 miles, its flooded canyons transforming a dry maze of stone into a vast inland sea visible from space. The dam's hydroelectric turbines generate power for multiple western states, turning gravity and water pressure into energy that light cities hundreds of miles away. Today, this structure stands at the intersection of engineering mastery and environmental debate, where water management, power generation, and the reshaping of an entire desert ecosystem converge in one monumental experiment. Beijing-Shanghai high-speed railway slices across eastern China as a steel artery binding two megacities that anchor the nation's economy. Stretching roughly 819 miles, the line was engineered to operate at commercial speeds exceeding 217 miles per hour, compressing a journey that once took a full day into about 4.5 hours. What makes this railway remarkable is not only speed, but precision, as the tracks pass through soft delta soils, major river systems, dense urban corridors, and seismic zones where tolerances are measured in millimeters. Serving hundreds of millions of passengers each year, it ranks among the busiest and most profitable rail lines ever built, demonstrating how scale can amplify efficiency. More than transportation, this railway functions as economic infrastructure, reshaping commuting patterns, synchronizing regional markets, and proving that distance itself can be engineered into something almost irrelevant. Louvre, Abu Dhabi emerges from the waters of Saadiyat Island as a cultural experiment built in steel, stone, and light. At its heart is a vast silver dome measuring 590 feet across, engineered from layered geometric patterns that filter sunlight into a phenomenon known as the rain of light, where thousands of beams drift across floors and galleries as the sun moves. Designed by architect Jean Nouvel, the structure blends traditional Arab Medina concepts with modern materials, creating a microclimate that naturally cools the space beneath the dome. Inside, artworks from ancient Mesopotamia, classical Europe, Asia, and Africa are arranged along a shared human timeline, challenging the idea that civilizations evolved in isolation. More than a museum, Louvre Abu Dhabi functions as a cultural bridge, signaling the UAE's ambition to position itself as a global crossroads of knowledge, dialogue, and shared human heritage. Zhanjiang Bay Bridge stretches across the waters of southern China like a quiet line of force binding land, sea, and economy. Extending more than 18 miles, the bridge crosses Zhanjiang Bay to connect the main urban center with Donghai Island, transforming what was once a long coastal detour into a direct marine corridor. Engineers designed the structure to survive typhoon winds, heavy waves, and constant saltwater corrosion, using reinforced concrete and protective coatings tested for decades of exposure. Beneath the roadway, deep foundations anchor the bridge into shifting seabed sediments, where tidal forces and soft soils demand extreme precision in load distribution. More than transportation, Zhanjiang Bay Bridge acts as economic infrastructure, accelerating coastal development and demonstrating how large-scale marine engineering reshapes geography into opportunity. Metro New York operates beneath, above, and through the city like a hidden engine that never sleeps. Launched in 1904, the system has grown into one of the most complex urban rail networks on Earth, moving millions of riders every single day through a city built in constant motion. With more than 470 active stations and over 850 miles of track, including service lines, the subway is less a map and more a living organism shaped by history, geology, and population pressure. Some trains dive deep below bedrock in century-old tunnels, while others run elevated above streets or emerge into open-air neighborhoods, revealing layers of urban growth stacked across time. More than transportation, the New York City subway is the city's circulatory system, sustaining its rhythm, resilience, and reputation as a place where movement never truly stops. Akashi Kaikyo Bridge spans the Akashi Strait as the longest suspension bridge ever built, linking Kobe to Awaji Island with unprecedented precision. Completed in 1998, its main span stretches 6,532 feet, a distance that pushed the limits of suspension bridge physics and redefined global engineering standards. The Twin Towers rise more than 980 feet above the sea, designed to flex intelligently against typhoon winds and powerful Pacific storms, rather than resist them rigidly. During the 1995 Kobe earthquake, while construction was still underway, tectonic movement widened the gap between the towers by nearly 3 feet, forcing engineers to recalibrate the structure mid-build. Akashi Kaikyo Bridge stands not just as infrastructure, but as proof that adaptability is the strongest material modern engineering can use. Shenzhen stands on China's southern coast as one of the fastest urban transformations ever recorded in human history. Only a few decades ago, this area was a quiet fishing settlement, yet today's 17 million people, rising directly beside Hong Kong as a symbol of accelerated modernization. Its skyline is packed with towers exceeding 600 feet, forming a dense vertical landscape that reflects both population pressure and economic velocity. Shenzhen functions as a technological engine, hosting major global hardware and software companies, research parks, and manufacturing ecosystems where ideas move from prototype to mass production at unmatched speed. Beneath the surface, a metro network stretching hundreds of miles moves millions daily, while above ground the city pioneered one of the world's first near-total transitions to electric buses and taxis. More than a city, Shenzhen operates as an urban laboratory, testing how infrastructure, technology, and governance can compress centuries of development into a single generation.